All right, great. Hello and welcome everyone. I'm so excited to kick off our Wellness Wednesday series. My name is Cassandra. I am the Associate Director of Communications and Outreach at NAMI New York State. I use she, her pronouns. And Wellness Wednesdays is a series that we started last year for Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're really glad we can bring it back. We have a great panel of speakers joining us today to discuss mental health in schools. So I will share our lineup with you in just a second. And at the end, we will go over all the great activities we have for this month. Sorry, I was reading what's going on in our chat. So, but thank you all so much for sharing and joining us today. All right, so just a quick introduction to our special guest for the day. We have Dr. Sarah from OMH. We have Alyssa and Julie from Westmere Elementary School, Julie from SUNY, and Georgie from NAMI Westchester, a young adult who's going to share her personal story later with us and some of the great work she's doing. So let's kick it off. I'm going to let Dr. Sarah introduce herself. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, I'm gonna let Dr. Sarah introduce herself and tell us about all the great work they're doing over at OMH for children and young adult and teens mental health.
Hey everybody, I'm Sarah Creacos. Is this audio okay? Can you hear me?
We hear you, but it sounded like there was a little feedback.
Is there still a lot of feedback? No, it's okay to go. Hello, Julie. Good to see folks here. I am the Associate Commissioner at the Office of Mental Health, and I lead the Children and Families Division. So it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm really looking forward to hearing from other folks as well. I'll be very brief because I know we don't have a ton of time, and talk in general about some of the challenges that we're all aware of in youth mental health, especially in the wake of the pandemic, and some of the resources and investments and vision that the Office of Mental Health has and families. So we are aware that from youth and families directly, from our provider community, from teachers, from law enforcement, etc., that we are at a crisis point really for youth mental health. We do know, I think hopefully some of you got the chance to read the Surgeon General's advisory on youth mental health. If not, I really do recommend it. It's written in a relatively accessible way, and it really lays out some of the challenges that we were seeing as a national trend even before the pandemic, and then the impacts of the pandemic on youth mental health, which we all know have been pretty grave, and in the context of so many other challenges around shortage of workforce in the mental health. And many other challenges for youth and families around bereavement or job loss, economic insecurity, school-related challenges, etc. I think that there's a couple of, without trying to, silver lining it, I think that there are a couple of things for us to be optimistic about. One is really that, and this is very much driven by youth, that we are talking about mental health in a new way. I really think, especially in the wake of the pandemic, it is so much more accepted, and in many cases, I think, expected to talk about mental health in the same way as physical health. And so I really congratulate and listen to and champion the voices of youth who I think are really at the forefront of breaking down the barriers about talking about mental health, saying this is super important for us to concentrate on. Another positive development is, I think, the use of telehealth and other technologies that open up lots of different ways to seek support, give support, and seek treatment. And I think that one of the things that has happened is that at a state and federal
Well, it looks like we lost Dr. Sarah for a second, so we'll give her some time to hop back on. So as we wait, I will just share what's going on this month. So we have our wellness series, but on Tuesdays, we have Tuesday Talks with Anne on our Instagram Live, which is focusing on different topics for women's mental health. So be sure to join us for that. That's 7 p.m. every Tuesday of the month. And Dr. Sarah's hopping right back on. So we'll just give her a second. And then Wellness Wednesdays, we're meeting here every Wednesday at 4 p.m. for various subjects, So today, mental health in schools. Next week, we're going to be joined with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for their presentation on Talk Saves Lives. Okay. Dr. Sarah, are you there? Okay, here you go.
I am so sorry about that. There was a pop-up that came up and I clicked away the pop-up and I clicked myself out entirely. The last point that I wanted to make is that, in the wake of everything else that's been challenging, is that it has been a period of very significant investment from the state and from the federal government. And so, for those of you can see both in terms of federal appropriations as well as the state budget, there is a very unprecedented amount of funding pouring into mental health. And I won't belabor it because you can hear about it in other settings, but we are hoping to invest it across the entire continuum, starting from, letting people know that when for any need for yourself, for a friend, for a child, for a parent, that there's a place to call. We're doing the national rollout of 988, as you all know about. There's a place to go and help to come to you, all the way up through if you need emergency, crisis, inpatient supports and treatment to ensure that those are accessible, safe, and high quality. Family-based. Just on the specific topic of today's school-based mental health services, New York State is putting in more than $100 million of investments in the next year specifically into school-based mental health services. And so we are really excited about that investment, and I will end on a note of saying, particularly because I'm very excited to hear from others, that it is a value of ours, and we are really super excited to ensure that all of the design that we do is very much youth driven. We are working with the Governor's Youth Council in terms of the design of our crisis program, and we're engaging a youth advisory board for OMH to help us think about what is it that you need, what are the challenges. We want to hear from you about where should this money go and where is the future of mental health for you. So thank you so much for that opportunity. And definitely if there's any questions, happy to answer them. I'm really looking forward to hearing from others too.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much. So if anyone has any questions, you can use the chat or you're welcome to unmute yourself and we will do the best we can to answer. All right. So Dr. Sarah, can you tell us what are the trends that some of the youth advisory councils you've been working with? Like what seems to be the topics you really want to help get involved in?
So, I'm not going to lie, where we are with the youth advisory board is we're recruiting them. So I can't answer that question directly, but what I can say is that in our regular engagement with youth and families, specifically through the advisory board mechanism. What we're hearing from youth and families is that a lot of folks are really in crisis. That includes folks who have struggled with mental health challenges before, and the pandemic made things much, much harder. And that includes folks who really, in the wake of the pandemic, it is a newer experience either for them or for their child or for their student to be struggling. And so that's a lot of what we're hearing, is that there are kids in schools, there are kids in families who it's kind of their first time in the mental health system, if you will. And the system is in a place right now where we have workforce shortages and staffing challenges, and even prior to the pandemic, there are gaps. We acknowledge that there are gaps in the continuum of care. And so what we're hearing from youth and families is, hey, we feel like we're in crisis, and where is the thing that we need? Where is the person to talk to that can help us in that crisis moment? And in the future, that what we actually need is someone to talk to us before that, so we don't have to get to that emergency department. We're always aware of youth and families of color, even youth, LGBTQ youth, developmental disabilities, physical disabilities, and other disenfranchised identities, I guess is a quick way to say it. And we are aware that in the wake, especially during the pandemic, that some of the mental health access disparities are exacerbated. And so it's challenging for anybody who is looking for mental health supports and treatment. It is, in many cases, harder in some of those situations. If you live in a rural community, if you are lower income, or there are special considerations around your care. And so those are all of the pieces that we're trying to listen to youth and families and design a system that really can help folks access high quality care in a timely manner.
Sure. And if youth watching or parents who can recommend youth over to you, who should they contact to get involved with the Youth Advisory Council?
I would say go ahead and send to me, and I will I'll make sure that it's forwarded to the right folks at the.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sarah. We'll move on to our next speakers. We'll throw this over to the folks over at Westmere Elementary School.
Hi there.
All right, so you can introduce yourselves. I'll pull up your slides in just 1 second.
Okay, I'm Julie Shutt. I'm a kindergarten teacher here at Westmere Elementary. We're in Guilderland Central School District.
I'm Alyssa Hansen. I am the school counselor here at Westmere. Before we get into this slideshow of what we are doing this year for Mental Health Awareness Month, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background of what brought both of us to here and where we are now. So this May marks 3 years that we lost one of our kindergarten students from Julie's class to a homicide suicide, including her mother, who suffered greatly from mental health. We also have had lost a teacher to suicide, and we've lost many of our high school students to suicide, all within this 3-year span.
And relatives.
And relatives, families. It's really been a lot in our community. And we really not only wanted to honor our student that we lost, but do our work to bring light to mental health. So started talking with NAMI, who gave us some really great advice on how to go about that what can we do at our elementary level? What can we do that's developmentally appropriate for our students here? And we thought that the best way to do it is start talking about it. We've been just having these conversations now when students maybe have never even heard of mental health before. So that's really been what brought us to this point here. We kicked it off this week, and then Julie's gonna let you guys know and show you everything that we've been doing.
So, one of the first things for anyone who would consider doing something like this is, we really reached out to our staff, and it's been a collaborative effort. So we have our librarian on our committee, Alyssa and myself, and our PTA president. And we also involved other people at the building level decision-making process to have input. So we kicked off, our librarian put together the slide. We do the Positivity Project at, that's a district funded, not district funded, sorry. It's a district wide, how would you describe it?
It's a social emotional learning curriculum that we use. We use the Positivity Project throughout the school. And we also use the Second Step program that I implement weekly to all of the classrooms as well. So we wanted to be able to tie in everything we're already doing and then add in the mental health aspect.
So when we do that, the Positivity Project comes in a daily lesson format. So we put together the similar kind of resource for teachers. So Cassandra, if you wouldn't mind putting that up, I can just kind of walk through just what this week looks like for our teachers and our students. So every classroom at every grade level is going to have the same lessons and not the same conversations, because that's the really neat thing about this and talking about our feelings. And this is really our mantra for the month, is we talk about our feelings because feelings need to be talked about. If you go a couple slides, this is the little spot books that Miss Hansen uses with our students when she comes in. She's used several of them. Our librarian also uses them to talk about feelings. So we decided to focus on some strong feelings or uncomfortable feelings, and then some positive feelings. And we picked 5 feelings, one for each day for this week. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, that has the, so we created ribbons. Our librarian created ribbons, and can you see, because you're missing the slide only? I'm not sure. But we have, I'll show you at the end. We have, students have little green ribbons, and they have the little spots, colored spots, that they adhere to the ribbon as they learn about each of the emotions. So red is for sad, or red is for anger, blue is for sad, gray is for anxiety. I think orange is for belonging, and yellow is for optimism. So those are what we decided to focus on this week. And then if you could just go to the next slide, that we have songs in here. You can go past, there's some songs. And if you go down on one more slide, there should be a book. So another song, sorry, it was the beginning. So
sorry, I muted you. Do you want us to play the video? No? Okay.
no. Oh, sorry. Did I just mute myself? No. Okay. No, that's okay. And then if you just go to I think the 7th slide is the book, so people can just see one more. It's also a song.
So this is the presentation that we shared with teachers, so that everything was right here for them. And it's super simple for them to just go to the presentation each day and click, because we wanted it to be as simple as possible.
Right. So it's no prep for the teacher. So we've gone through the first 3, and the format is the same. And you can, if you can see, this is the book. So this is Monday's book, A Little Spot of Anger. And there's actually another one, because there's a spot of frustration. And we watched both of those books at different times throughout the day and talked about how frustration leads to anger. What was I going to say about that? I don't know. but the so the format continues though, and the next slide shows that after we're done having the conversation with the kids get to add that dot to their ribbon. So we don't need to go through all the slides, but it's there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that same format. There's sometimes a song, there's always the book, and there's the ribbon. And the conversations have been really rich. I mean, I teach kindergarten, so it is amazing the sophistication. When we talked about blue, I shared a picture book about the loss of a dog, but the kids connected immediately to loss of family members. So there was some talk about loss of pets, but it moved right to people. And it really is amazing, just the depth of their ability to talk about their feelings and needing an opportunity to share and hear that we have these common experiences, really is our goal with the kids. I don't think out of the slideshow there's anything else that we needed. We just wanted to see if you were curious, as a teaching tool, that's been really amazing, and everyone's doing it in our whole building. Then there's a slot, the picture, Cass, if you would mind putting that up. Not in the slideshow. It's the picture that I sent to you separately.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Oh, you put it in there. So that our art teacher put this together with our PE teacher, actually. They joined together and put May as mental health awareness. So I took this picture on Monday. So the only dot that was on there was the red dot. And it now has blue dot and black dot because we've done this. This is right in our main entrance of our building. And what I didn't take a picture of is because it's blank at this time, but the sides is blue paper. And we are hoping that teachers are going to share ways that they've, we all have ideas already for projects that we're going to put up, and different things to just share the fruits of our conversations. And school-wide, we've done things like our art teacher also created green ribbons for everybody's door. So every classroom, every kind of classroom, the office, the nurse's office, we all have the green ribbons up. Our PTA is running a coin drive to benefit NAMI. And they'll be running that next week. This week kicks off our month. And then the next 2 weeks, we're having the coin drive. And then we are coming as a school, hopefully with parents and teachers, to the event on the Saturday, the 21st.
We're also, every morning I've been going on the announcements just to introduce the feeling of the day, reminding students that we talk about feelings because feelings need to be talked about. And then when I go in for my lessons this week, I'm not doing second step. I'm doing a lesson more centered on that day's feeling. And I've started each class lesson with students naming one person that they could talk to. And that's K through 5, because I think that's really our message also. We all have feelings. It's okay to talk about them. Who's someone that you trust to talk about them? And then we just want to show you one of our green ribbons that are done. So this is what it kind of looks like in real life. So all of the kids K through 5 are doing this.
Yep. Yep. And the other, we're just saying that we all have feelings. Oh, it just escaped me. Sorry, I'll think of it.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing here at Westmere.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. Yeah. So, we connected with Alyssa and Julie, and just brainstorming different things we had and how we can develop, the resources for children and parents and schools for mental health information. And, as they continue to develop this, it just became something so great. I just knew we wanted to make sure we highlighted it so that other educators and parents could see this project and, develop and use it, at home and in their schools. I love that, we talk about feelings because feelings need to be talked about, and just like really providing, people language. And, at so many different ages, we don't have that, and it takes some time to develop. I know for me, it took me until I was in college to be able to name that I was experiencing anxiety at a different level than, the norm, right? So being able to figure that out and having the language and seeing that now, with different initiatives like this, that we're providing that for children, and so that they can get the care and support they need at earlier ages. And I just really just want to say, I think it's so great to incorporate that part. Who can you talk to about them, right? Just creating the space at school, with the teachers, with the counselors, that this is a safe space to do that, and that we're here for you, and we'll connect you to whoever you feel comfortable talking to. So that's really great. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry, I know I kind of went on there. Let's see what people are saying here in the comments. Awesome job. Thank you for sharing. Really love the things you're doing.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself. I did remember what I wanted to say. Diane Alver is the author of the Spot books for anyone who's not familiar with them, and they really are fantastic. I've heard them being read by, like I said, Miss Hansen and our librarian, but in using them, they always have a way to have a strategy for the child who's listening, how to handle the negative feeling and turn it around, or how to express a positive feeling in an appropriate way. There's always a strategy. So they're really a fantastic series of books.
They're also, I think almost all of them, there are recorded read alouds on them on YouTube. So you don't even have to have the physical book. You can just YouTube search the one you're looking for and then have that be a read aloud.
Awesome. Also very accessible. That's perfect. So yeah, if anyone wants any more information about this or has any questions, let's see, great program. These are some great ideas. Love the green ribbon. I will look into the books. Yeah, I recommend everyone. I really want to check out those songs and see if I can share that with my nephews. I think that's great. Love that there's so many different ways to incorporate the books. All right. Well, thank you.
I have a question. Can you hear me? It's really too much to type. So this program is a wonderful program. It's for K through 5, from what I heard. And I love the idea that you check in, right, with the students to see how they're doing every day. That's a great thing to do, because children come and adults come with so much stuff in their head. Let me get myself off of the, they come with so many things that they're dealing with. And it's hard to identify. But while you're speaking to children and you're asking the question, is there someone that they can trust, that they speak to, that they feel free to speak to? What do you do, or how do you address those children who may not have such a person, right? Who may not feel safe speaking to a sibling, to another adult, or even their parents, because there are those types of children who carry these burdens around and they don't know what to do with them. And that's the first part of my question. The second part is, how do you, or are you able to identify triggers, right? Somebody who's angry, someone who may be being abused at home, because that happens a lot. And there are certain behaviors in children, right? That identify there's abuse going on. So this is a wonderful program, but how do you deal with children whose problems go beyond the ribbons, so to speak?
Sure. So, I mean, I can just say from my training and from working as a counselor in a school district, any problems that go beyond this, that come to our light, we always connect with community services that we feel necessary. So we know that some problems are way bigger than we can help in our, four walls of the school. And that certainly happens a lot. And we have had to make those outside references, make some phone calls, and do what we can to help anything outside of the school. As for students who may not necessarily be able to name an adult that they trust, then that kind of, to me, is this is a student that I need to make a connection with. And making sure that, say it was someone in Julie's class, we know this is a student we need to be making a connection with, because then we want to become the adult. So asking that question actually gives us a lot of information too. It gives us a lot of information of who and how this child connects with adults. And then also gives us the information of, okay, this is a child we're going to put on our radar, and we're going to make sure that while they're here at school, they know they have that at least 2 reliable connections.
And I also, it's not as far as follow-up and support, but in identifying, I do feel like it really, it does take a community, and not just, I know what I live with the kids most of the day, right? But they're different in PE and in art, or what happens in the cafeteria for these children. And so to have that communication throughout the school is really critical, because sometimes that's where you get that window into something that's not just right with a child.
Excellent. And are the parents aware that this type of program is going on? I'm sure they're open and receptive to it because a lot of times things slip by parents.
They're aware of all of the programs. So the Positivity Project, they're aware of. My Second Step program, they're aware of. And then last week, Julie and I sent home a parent letter listing out everything that we're doing in May. And then we also this week are sending out links to panels on NAMI so that, and the NAMI website, so that parents can find some more resources if they wanted to talk about mental health to their children themselves.
And as classroom teachers, each of us typically have, like I use Seesaw, so we have some kind of digital communication with parents and platform. So on mine, I've actually been sharing the YouTube recordings of Little Spot books with parents, excuse me, with parents after I've read them, so they know they can go read the book again with their child and have a discussion. As well as, we've shared, I either share other information about what we're talking about during the day, but it's probably, daily communication, at least weekly communication from most classroom teachers, K-5.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carol. That was really, really great questions. And thank you both so much. And, as you shared in the beginning, what has really led to, these initiatives, thank you for all the work you're doing to support your community, your students and the parents and each other, of course, as well. So thank you for sharing all that. We appreciate you being with us here today. All right. So now we are going to go over to Julie.
Hi, everyone. My name
Sorry,
is...
Julie, I'm looking for you. Hold on. Let me spotlight you first.
Sure. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and Cass, if you want to pull up the presentation, that would be great. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Maio. I am from SUNY System Administration in downtown Albany, and I am our Assistant Director of Student Mental Health and Wellness, and really happy to be on the call today and share just some of the many things that we are doing here at SUNY System Administration and throughout, our campuses throughout the state. So if you want to tab over to the first slide or the next slide. So what brought me here today is we have a mental health and wellness advisory committee, and Wendy Birch, who is the executive director of the Capital Region NAMI chapter, is a member of our advisory committee, and so happy to be able to work and partner with her and many other folks throughout the state and throughout our system. So just some background information on the advisory committee. This came from a recommendation from our former mental health and wellness task force, which was comprised of only SUNY members. There were quite a number of folks on that task force, and they put together a great list of recommendations of things that we could do from the system level to better our mental health and well-being supports and services to our campus communities. So the committee is one of those recommendations within the report, and it is comprised of SUNY Counseling Center staff and other SUNY folks working in the mental health and well-being space, and then individuals like Wendy who work for nonprofits or other organizations throughout New York State or that are affiliated with our state that provide mental health and wellness support services to folks. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to read through the list of bullets here, but the charge of the committee is basically to really help us from the system level uplift efforts throughout our campuses. We have 64 schools throughout New York State. So definitely, it's helpful to have expertise and oversight as we think of efforts and initiatives, since we have community colleges, university centers, comprehensive schools, and ag tech schools. So of course, they all have different needs and diverse student bodies that we have to take into consideration. And the committee will also help us, put together comprehensive policies that we can roll out throughout the system to, again, improve our mental health and wellness efforts. And the last bullet here is something that I always like to take a moment to talk about. And the committee will really help us make sure that at the forefront of everything that we're doing, that we're making sure that we're really taking into consideration the unique needs and mental health issues that are plaguing our students who identify as LGBTQIA+, and for our students of color and those from other underrepresented backgrounds. So the committee has met twice so far. We're slated to meet in June. So we're just, getting the wheels turning and getting up off the ground and running. But this group has been very helpful thus far and helping us, steer the ship forward, as we know that, there's a national mental health crisis, for all ages, but especially so for our college students. You want to tab to the next slide, please. Okay, so I put together just a couple slides quickly pulling from our SUNY mental health webpage. And if you're ever interested in checking it out, you can pull up a search engine and search SUNY mental health, and it'll probably be the first result at the top. But the next two slides feature some of the services that we highlight on our SUNY mental health webpage. The first being our crisis text line. And this crisis text line, it's a nationwide text line, but we've created kind of a SUNY code word for our students to use when they reach out to it so we can collect data and metrics. But the most important part of this effort is that it's free and it's available to students 24/7. And in communicating and marketing the crisis text line, we make sure to tell students, even if you're not in a crisis, you can still reach out to the text line, whether it's you're dealing with stress from finals or maybe dealing with feelings of loneliness, to, of course, in the more extreme cases, we make students aware that they can use this crisis text line if they're dealing with suicidal ideation. And when they reach out to the text line, they'll be connected with a trained professional. And while they can't provide medical care via a text line, of course, they do help with de-escalation techniques and getting a student to the place where they have, a plan in terms of like their safety and making sure that they know what resources are available to them. And so with that effort, it's important to us to have a text line available. We want to meet students where they are. Lots of us love to text, so it's, a great modality for students to take advantage of if they're not comfortable meeting in person or even, picking up the phone and calling someone. But to that point, we also have a peer-to-peer assistance hotline, and that's available through the University of Albany, their Middle Earth program. And it's been around for over 50 years now, but over the past year or so, the program has expanded to the entirety of SUNY system, not just UAlbany students. And that was, an effort that we're happy to expand to the system, because we know oftentimes students may be more comfortable reaching out to their peers first, to talk through stressors or if they're in a crisis. So this gives them that opportunity to talk to a fellow college student. Tab over to the next slide, please. And so the other two items that we have on our mental health webpage in terms of, system level resources, one is being our student telecounseling network. So this is a homegrown telecounseling network that is run out of SUNY Upstate and SUNY Downstate. They provide practitioners that students can work with for psychiatric interventions and also cognitive behavioral therapy interventions as well. So the list here on the screen needs to be updated. We're actually up to 34 campuses who participate in the program. And how it works is a campus, in this case, is referred to as a host site. And a student might go to the counseling center and say the counseling center doesn't have a psychiatric nurse or an individual who can prescribe on campus. Then their host campus will reach out to SUNY Upstate or SUNY Downstate as part of a referral process, and the student will get onboarded to work with either SUNY Upstate or Downstate to make sure that either if they come to college with a prescription that they're able to maintain that, or say if they come to college and a mental illness arises and they feel as though medication intervention will be helpful, they can utilize this service for that. So we're happy to be able to provide that service to our campuses and to our students, and that it is born out of the SUNY system itself. And then lastly, I just for this slide, I just wanted to touch upon our question, persuade, refer suicide prevention gatekeeper training. That is made available to us through our Garrett Lee Smith grant with the Office of Mental Health. And we are in year 3 out of year 5 of the grant. So we have a couple more years to continue offering this training. And the goal of the training, for those who are not familiar, is basically to teach, folks or bystanders who aren't mental health professionals or wellness professionals how to work with someone who comes to them if they're facing suicidal ideation or a mental health crisis. So, think about, back in college, if you were more comfortable speaking with a faculty member or a professor about a really stressful situation, we want to make sure that every person who interfaces with students is educated on, best practices and empathy and active listening in these situations so that they're able to work with the student to refer them to a professional who can help them out in those crisis situations. If you could tab to the next slide, please. And then for my last slide here today, I just wanted to highlight some of the communications efforts that we're putting forth throughout Mental Health Awareness Month. We have an amazing graphic design team here at SUNY and a creative communications team. And we've been working with them to put together, I think, a really nice comprehensive smattering of communications plans for the month. So we're planning to continue to promote the SUNY services that I just mentioned earlier in the presentation, while also doing some educational videos, whether it's connecting with students so they can share their mental health stories and just open up the conversation through that lens. We have some interviews on long COVID and mental health implications for that, disability accommodations in mental health, positive psychology, and some other educational topics we'll be talking about. And to Sarah's point, Dr. Sarah's point earlier today, I think a silver lining of the pandemic is that folks are more open to talking about mental health, and as a result, really looking to receive information about mental health services. So we're really planning for the entire month to share, again, our services, nationwide services, and really honing in on mental health resources for folks who identify as LGBTQIA+ and are students from diverse and underrepresented backgrounds. And one final note is that we're also looking to launch a mental health repository for our students in campus communities. It will live on our SUNY webpage, and it will be a resource, kind of a one-stop shop for students to see what mental health services and other wellness services their campuses offer, as well as local county resources. As we've heard, over the past year or so, that students were struggling to find information in a crisis situation or just an everyday situation of, what services their campus provides. So we're looking forward to rolling that out, getting communications and marketing around that resource, and just continuing the conversation on mental health. So that wraps up my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions or engage in any sort of discourse on higher education and mental health.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie. So many great things being developed. I love the repository. So yes, first, does anyone have any questions? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute yourself if you'd like. I will ask, so when did they start putting together the student telecounseling project?
Yeah, sure. So that it launched as a pilot program actually prior to the pandemic. So I think it was either 2018 or 2017. And it was great that we actually had that resource available to us throughout the pandemic so that students could continue to connect with mental healthcare practitioners, especially, when medication management is involved.
That's great. Yeah, I asked, so I'm a SUNY graduate, and so I'm familiar with some of the services that were on my campuses and some of the issues with getting services, of course, and, how the need was overwhelming. And, there's a certain cap of how many times you can go see the campuses therapists and things like that. So it's really great to see that there's new ways for people to get help and support, that there is this, one stop you can go and find out what's going on your campus in case you don't know, and that so much work is being put into sharing that information and letting that be known. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think, we're trying to, of course, support our great counseling centers and their staff, and also offer, different avenues for mental health care and support, for students who might not gravitate towards traditional counseling, whether it's bolstering peer services or art therapy, wellness fairs. So our campuses are, working hard to, increase the services that they provide.
yeah. Sorry, there's a lot of information. Yeah, I think, just thinking about this suicide prevention program and training for staff and professors is great. I know, there's so many students when they're overwhelmed and they're also dealing with their mental health. They go to the professor, especially when it comes to late assignments and feeling overwhelmed with things and time management issues. So it's really great to see that, now staff and professors will have the language to be supportive and to help connect students to more services and supports and things like that. Does anyone else have any questions? Let's see.
Thank you for your comment, Alyssa.
I just wanted to tell you, I think it's awesome that you have a text line, because I think, as a parent of college students, I know, especially like my daughter who's going to be a freshman in college, if I say, call somebody, she's like, "Ugh," but she would text. So I think that's fantastic that you have that resource for them.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. And, we're very thankful to the Office of Mental Health for helping us get set up with the text line. And like I said, we can kind of take a look to see, if there's an uptick in texts from a certain location in New York, and maybe we work with the campuses in that location to drill down what's going on. But yes, to your point, we're very thankful to have that text line, because I think it just increases accessibility to services through that modality.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie, for joining us, for sharing all the information. It's great to see the direction that we're all going in as support staff and things like that. Thank you so much. And now we're gonna head over to Georgie.
All right. Hello. Thank you to NAMI New York State for having me, and to the other panelists for all their hard work and really trying to make the mental health community talked about more in schools. I'm from Westchester, New York. I went to a high school in middle school where it wasn't spoken about a lot, especially in elementary school. We had a lot of suicides, and I was also one of the students that really struggled, and there wasn't much of a support system. So it's awesome to see that schools are going in the right direction. I am currently a senior at Syracuse University. I am graduating next Saturday, which is very exciting, especially with the journey that I've kind of been on with my mental health, and thinking that I wouldn't make it, and being able to make it despite everything it's a huge accomplishment for me, and definitely for my family. But yeah, so I was diagnosed at 18 officially with depression, anxiety, and ADHD. I have always struggled with my mental health, but again, it wasn't something that I really considered. And I kind of decided to take that initiative to see a psychiatrist and a therapist and start that back up again when I got to college. And it's really awesome to be able to attend a college that has so many resources. It obviously wasn't something I was looking at when I was trying to decide what school I wanted to go to. I just got lucky, and not everyone gets lucky like that. So I always say to students, that is something to definitely consider if you struggle with your mental health. But yeah, so I was diagnosed at 18, which wasn't much of a surprise, again, because I've kind of been struggling all my life. And my parents, also struggle. So it kind of, it was fate for me, I guess you could say. I unfortunately did, in the end of March, I lost my dad. He passed away to his long battle of addiction. And so that's, very real. It's a big issue. And it's something that mental health as a whole, there's a huge stigma to it. And I've always been an advocate. I had a brain tumor when I was 5, and I was really big into, doing advocacy for that and raising money where I could. And I kind of shift over to this whole mental health community and wanting to advocate. So with NAMI-New Westchester, I do ending the silence presentations. So I speak in middle and high schools and to staff and families about, just my story and how I kind of just where I am today, to show people that, you can live through this, you can take, initiative to do, to get yourself the help that you need. And so it's been a really positive experience. It's opened many doors for me. I've been able to do outside events like this. I've been able to talk to, I did with a New York State Senator, with Andrea Stewart Cousins. I did a youth advocacy council meeting with them. So I got to talk to kids. I have become more vocal and more comfortable about what I go through and talking about it and leading people in the right direction. I'm on the NAMI Westchester board of directors, which is awesome as a 21-year-old being on that. And so I always encourage, people to advocate for themselves and advocate for the people they love, and that it never hurts to ask someone how they're doing. I always say how they're truly doing, because I know me and I love to just be like, yeah, I'm fine, but usually I'm not. And it's really, doing these presentations and talking to people about my story and being more comfortable about it and trying to end the stigma has really put me on the right path, and has been a huge part of my recovery of, knowing that I can help people, and, I could just do something as little as tell my story and know that kids can go home to their parents every day and be like, today we had a presentation in our class where, a girl talked about her mental health. And I think that, I may struggle. And I really love these, the ending the silence presentations. I think it is great. I think that all schools should implement something like that. Just having like a young adult talk about journey to really show kids that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Because I know at middle and high school, I did not see that light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's just really important, to talk about these things and to head in the right direction. And so, yeah, obviously, here I am today, and I am about to graduate college, which is very exciting. And, working towards ending the stigma is, something that is starting to get very common and more spoken about, but, there's still a lot of work to be done, and a lot of work to be done in the schools. And I think it's really awesome, what a bunch of the panelists had talked about their work and in schools, and I think it was awesome. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Georgie. We're so grateful to have you here today to share your story, and just so grateful that you're a part of the NAMI family. And, you really just show how, how hopeful our future is, that we have young leaders like you getting involved like this and being an advocate for yourself and for others. And yeah, you see in the chat, just,
so sweet. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. And, I'm so sorry again for your loss. And you see, Georgie told us about what was going on and still was like, no, I'm going to be here today. And just so amazing. We're just really grateful that you came. And does anyone have any questions for Georgie and any of the things she's working on?
Hi. Hello,
Yes.
I'm Georgie's mom, Michelle. How are you guys?
Oh,
I know it's embarrassing. I just wanted to say to everybody, it's been a really tough few weeks for us as a family, just losing her dad unexpectedly. So the fact that she's here for anybody that's on and struggling, just know, it's day by day and you get through. And Georgie's a pure testament of someone that pushes through every day in life. And the struggles have been real. But so proud of you. I didn't mean to come on and cry without crying, but
I'm doing good without crying.
we're literally only 5 weeks of Georgie's dad dying, and both my kids, all three of my kids had to go back to school and kind of push through. And just the struggles are real, and just know every day we could all just sort of push through, and we'll be okay in the long run,
Yeah.
and just reach out and talk to people. We talk every day and talk about the struggles, and we push through. So just wanted to put my 2 cents in there of just so proud of you, Georgie.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Mom.
for supporting us. I mean, NAMI's been so huge for Georgie, of just even her journey. So thank you guys so much. I'm muting myself now, daughter. Thank you guys.
Yeah, NAMI has great resources, as I'm sure many of you know, and I know that SUNY has like the text option, and NAMI has that too for if you have a teenager. Because I know for me personally, yeah, definitely picking up a phone and like talking to someone about that. So NAMI has great resources, and a lot of them are free, and they have a lot of great programs to educate people. So if you're not already somehow involved, I highly encourage you guys to get involved. And if any of you happen to be in Westchester, NAMI Westchester has their walk on May 14th in Ridge Road Park in Hardsdale. So if you guys want to join in on that, I highly recommend. I was saying to my Westchester people that I will be doing my graduation walk instead. So it's really awesome.
Thank you again. And thank you, Mom, for sharing. We really appreciate you both so much. And congratulations on graduating. And a sad but very beautiful moment. And, thank you all for being a part of today and joining us and, creating this space to have this conversation about mental health in schools. It's so real for so many people, what we're going through and what we're continuing to struggle through. So thank you all for taking the time to join us here today. I will open up for any questions, for any last questions. You're welcome to take yourself off mute or to throw them in the chat. I am going to pull up a few slides just to highlight some of the other things going on this month. So just give me 1 second. Okay, well, I'm just going to share. So as I mentioned, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so every Wednesdays, we are holding our Wellness Wednesday series. Next week, as I said in the beginning, we will be joined with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention to host their Talk Saves Lives Suicide Prevention educational program. And then the following week, we will be joined by Kenya from NAMI National, who will share a workshop on setting SMART goals. And many people are probably familiar with SMART goals, but this is specifically about setting SMART goals for your mental health. And we're using our peer-to-peer perspective, which comes from our NAMI peer-to-peer class. So we hope that you'll be able to join us for that. And then to end the series, we're holding Rethinking Wellness, Thriving versus Surviving, just going over the different dimensions of wellness, thinking about, health holistically, mentally, spiritually, physically. And we're going to talk about some, the importance of preventative care and some of the barriers to preventative cares in certain communities and areas. So that'll be, all really great, interesting topics. We hope you'll be able to join us. Again, they're all on Zoom. Then on Tuesdays, we have Tuesday Talks with Anne, talking about different topics in women's mental health. And then, as Georgie mentioned, in the Westchester area, we have the NAMI-Westchester's Walk. On May 21st, we have a mental health event here in the Capital Region, Mental Health Day at Washington Park from 10:30 to 2 p.m. Everyone is invited. If you're in the area, please try to come out. We're going to be joined with about 20 different local organizations. We'll have games for kids. We're going to have giant bubbles. It'll be a great time. Then on Sunday, the 22nd, NAMI New York City will be hosting their walk. So if you're in the area, come out. And then in New York City on the 21st, if you're in that area, not in the Capital Region, they have a huge concert going on from Sound Minds. All this information again is in our e-newsletter, so be sure you're looking out for that. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to stay up to date with the different things that we're putting out there. You can see previous videos. We'll send out this video for people who want to go back and watch as well on Mondays with all of our events and things like that. Hopefully I didn't forget anything, but thank you again so much. Have a great day. Do something nice for yourself. Do a little self-care. I don't know where you are, but it's rainy here. So if you can bring a little sunshine somehow, I hope you can. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you all.